Hey guys, welcome back. It's been a while since my last video. Life got a bit busy, I finished my bachelor's and started working full time. So this trip to Austria was my first break in a long time and my first opportunity to focus on photography again. It felt so good to get back into nature and slow things down a bit. Earlier this spring I had my first camper van trip and really liked the freedom it gave me. So when it came time for this holiday, I knew I wanted to do it again. I had 7 days to drive from Innsbruck to Marburg, which gave me plenty of time to explore Austria and stop wherever felt right. My first stop was Gerlos. I found a campsite where I could park the camper and stay the night. After I got settled in, I took a short hike up the mountain nearby. The light was overcast though, and the pictures I took didn't really turn out too much. But I decided to wake up early the next morning, which honestly wasn't too hard since I was freezing on top of the camper, and I went back up that same hike hoping for a sunrise. As I got near the top of the mountain, I was actually starting to enjoy the hike a lot more. So I decided it was time to break out the camera and set up my tripod. I took some shots with the forest in the foreground and the mountains behind it. I like the subtle light on top of the mountain and the smooth light overall in this photo. I continued hiking down and could see the sun starting to peek over the mountains. Setting off from the campsite that day, I continued my journey towards the Zillertal. My plan was to take a short hike starting in Tux. The drive there was incredible, the kind of scenery that makes you grateful for the freedom of having a car. The hike itself was absolutely beautiful, and with the sun shining brightly, I appreciated that the trail meandered through the forest most of the time. The shade from the trees provided a cool respite from the heat, and dappled sunlight filtering through the leaves created this serene atmosphere. As I climbed higher, I stumbled upon an Alm, a quaint mountain hut nestled amidst rolling meadows. I decided to take a break here, pulled out a book, and spent some time just reading and soaking in the tranquility. By late afternoon, I made my way back down the trail, the golden hour casting a warm glow over everything. I started looking for a campsite, all the while enjoying the simple pleasure of driving, listening to music, and watching the scenery unfold around me. There's something so liberating about these open roads and the ever-changing landscapes. The next morning, eager to catch the early light, I woke up before dawn. I drove around for about an hour, the roads quiet and the world still waking up. Until I found a secluded forest road that caught my eye. Parking the camper, I set off on foot, camera in hand. Walking through the forest, I was constantly searching for compositions. The way the trees lined up, how the light pierced through the canopy, creating pockets of illumination amidst the shadows. In the low light of the forest, I found that shooting in black and white really brought out the textures and contrasts. As you can see in this photo, the interplay of light and shadow adds a sense of depth and mystery. The absence of colors shifts the focus to the forms and patterns, making the scene feel almost timeless. After a rewarding morning of photography, I headed back to the van to make my way to the Großglockner Hochalpenstraße, the day's main destination. According to Google, it's touted as one of the most beautiful driving roads, and I was excited to see the mountains from such a vantage point and experience this famous route. I was aware that there was a toll access to the road, but when I arrived and found out it was 43 euros for a single day pass, I was genuinely surprised. It felt like a hefty price for just one vehicle, but I decided to go for it, hoping the experience would justify the cost. The road was busy, motorcycles roaring past, and fellow travelers stopping at viewpoints. I also took my time pulling over at various spots to take in the panoramic views and, of course, make some photos. Here's one of my favorites. The mountains layered upon each other, going into infinity. The sheer scale of the landscape was humbling. At the summit, I stopped for a lunch at a small cafe perched on the mountainside. Sitting there with a warm piece of apple pie overlooking the peaks and valleys. It reminded me of why I embarked on this trip, finding moments of awe and connecting with nature. Continuing down the other side of the pass, the scenery changed yet remained equally captivating. That said, the photos I captured along the way are some of my favorites from the trip, especially those I took at sunrise the next morning, which you will see in part 2. As the day drew to a close, I found a quiet campsite to settle in for the night. I decided on a campsite at the other end of the pass since I wanted to take a hike up to 3000 meters at sunrise. Reflecting on the day's journey, I felt grateful for the experiences, the unexpected discoveries, the moments of stillness, and the breathtaking views. It's these adventures that make traveling so enriching, and I'm excited to see where the road takes me next.